Jim Harbaugh picks up the phone, calls Michigan, and Leo DiCaprio, Jordan Belfort style, says, "I'm not leaving." The show goes on, and everybody in Ann Arbor is fired up, and for good reason. Because the last 2 seasons, you have been on the doorstep of playing for a national championship game. You beat Ohio State in back-to-back years. You make the college football playoff in back-to-back years. A lot of people like to talk about unfinished business. You hear it all the time whenever someone says they're coming back for another year and they're not going to go to the NFL draft or whatever it may be. Michigan right now, with Jim Harbaugh saying run that back turbo, is living unfinished business. Because think about what he gave up. I promise you, the quality of life in the NFL, much better. Year-round in college football, you're recruiting. You're now re-recruiting your roster with NIL. Life is better in the NFL. It just is. But he loves Michigan, and I would have to imagine believes there is a lot that can still be accomplished. There is unfinished business in Ann Arbor. Because he told the Broncos no. According to Adam Schefter, he called them and said, hey, here's the deal. I'm going to stay at Michigan. Was an offer on the table or not? I don't know. I don't know if it got to that point. But regardless, he called them. Look at the rest of the roster. Cornelius Johnson, I'm not leaving. Michael Barrett, Leo DiCaprio season, I'm not leaving. Blake Corum, 1 more year. People talk about unfinished business. Michigan right now, from players to Jim Harbaugh, unfinished business is being lived out. If you haven't yet subscribed, we got you covered year-round, man. College football doesn't take a break. We don't either. Content every single day about the sport that you love and that we love. Also, follow me on the socials at JD Piquel on Twitter and on Instagram. We're live on Tuesday. We're live on Thursday, 1 Central, 2 Eastern. Come hang out. We get active. We get very, very active, all right? So, with that being said about Jim Harbaugh and coming back to Michigan, what else does it mean? Well, think about last year. When there was all the conversation around will he or won't he go to the NFL, it felt like he was going to take the Vikings job. The momentum that Michigan had just established from the 2021 season, beating Ohio State for the first time in a long time, making the college football playoff, all that momentum felt like it just came to a screeching halt. A lot of players from last year's team had decided they were going to go to the NFL draft and all that. Momentum felt like it just took a very complete jump stop. Fast forward the tape to this year. Yes, there was the conversation around the NFL. Yes, there was still a little bit of Jim Harbaugh watch going on. But I don't get the sense that they're going to have to reload quite the way they did last year. Because last year, I mean, look at it. 2 new coordinators going into this year, new quarterback. They're not going to have to reload. The continuity is still very much there in regards to what they're going to do in 2023. Now, on the recruiting trail, I would have to imagine that last year when you get whispers around maybe your coach leaving for the NFL or a coach you might commit to leaving for the NFL, that probably at least tempers what you're able to do on the recruiting trail. I don't think that's going to be the case. Because the way that this feels to me, and I can't say it without a shadow of a doubt at the time of us recording this feels to me like a very final move for the foreseeable future. Now, will he eventually end up in the NFL? Who's to say? But I don't think we'll have this same song and dance next year. I don't think it'll be the 2023 version of is Jim Harbaugh going to the NFL? I guess 2023, 2024. You hear what I'm saying here. The continuity momentum now is something that wasn't established a year ago, which I think makes Michigan more dangerous for this coming year. Yes, but as a program going forward, the talent they're going to be able to get now from the high school level. Coaches can no longer go into that living room and pitch as effectively and as impactfully is Jim Harbaugh going to be gone. You can't negatively recruit as well as maybe you could have a few weeks ago. That's good news for the people in Ann Arbor. Because when you get more talent, you have the cupboard more stocked, you have more ingredients to make a better product. That's huge. Also, not having to replace 2 new coordinators like I had just mentioned, that's also a big deal. You're not coming into spring football. You're not going into fall camp trying to figure out the new install, whatever that looks like, whether it's the coach or the player. So Jesse Mentor kept a lot of things the same. Bottom line, that familiarity, it's going to pay dividends. It just will. It's the way this game works. So, the situation at Michigan. Everyone has now re-signed up for the mission. Everyone that's going to be a part of this ride in 2023 has put their name down and said, count me in, including Jim Harbaugh. because that's probably one of the most important things going into the year. You got to have everybody on board. Mission Impossible, a great example. Your mission, should you choose to accept it, the happy mission they talk about all the time, you still have to accept that. Now, players have accepted it. Jim Harbaugh, the key variable, has accepted it. They're going to be dangerous. If he had decided to leave, Michigan still would have been a very, very good football team. But you would have been without the common denominator that got you past Ohio State the last 2 years and past or into the college football playoff the last 2 years, and hopefully beyond this coming year. It's not to knock anybody on that roster. There were still key pieces that were on that roster, but they did it with 2 new coordinators. They did it with a new quarterback. Jim Harbaugh was that key variable. Jim Harbaugh has what remained the same and what was stable the last 2 seasons. So for Michigan, we've said it before, the expectations continue to get ramped up. It used to be, can we just beat Ohio State? We can beat Ohio State. That'd be a step in the right direction. Make the college football playoff. Okay, that's now the expectation. Now it's let's win a national title. J.J. McCarthy in his second year in the saddle. Blake Corum's running it back. Michael Barrett, Cornelius Johnson, a lot of big-time ballers are saying, I want one more year in Ann Arbor. I want to do something special. That is the expectation. Not just externally, but internally. So the happy mission is a go for 2023, 2024. Jim Harbaugh put an exclamation mark on Leo DiCaprio's season. I'm not leaving. We're not leaving either. This is the Hard Count. Nick Brake doing the heavy lifting. Like I said, we do content year-round. College football does not take a break. We do not do that either. Thank you so much for allowing this to happen. It's supply and demand. If there wasn't demand for college football content year-round, we wouldn't have a job. So we appreciate you. We thank you. This is a community. Subscribe if you haven't already. Follow me on Instagram and on Twitter at JD Piquel. Great medium for us to interact. Do more of what you want to see, all right? We're going to keep the party rolling, and we will see y'all next time. Hey, y'all, thanks so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel here to make sure you don't miss an episode of The Hard Count. Also, be sure to check out other videos on the On3 YouTube channel.